This rare bird is a Yamaha MT-01 from 2006. This is a stage 2 from the factory, meaning it makes about 105 horsepower to the crank, as well as about, from what I've seen researched on this thing with similar or an identical setup, about 147 foot-pounds of torque. This thing has a full Akrapovic titanium setup for the pipes, as well as a revised ECU, and the previous owners on this thing, I don't know which one, because I don't know how many people have owned this, because it's a little bit of a unicorn here in the United States, just absolutely decked this thing out in carbon fiber. The only modifications so far I've done to it are this little sticker here in chrome, as well as some cute little carbon fiber dragons from one of my Tail the Dragon trips I've done recently. This is most likely one of less than 20 MT-01s in the United States, and I don't know how many of those are stage 2s. This thing is absolutely wicked. This is what happens when you get the love child of a Buell as well as a Yamaha R1. Because I'm going to tell you, it only makes about 105 horsepower. But, again, the internet tells me, based off of identical modifications, that this sucker makes 147 foot-pounds of torque. This thing had been previously imported from Canada, so I had a little sly reference to that on the license plate. But it was legally registered here in the United States. So this thing is street legal to ride. It is fully registered and insured, and it is one of the most insane motorcycles I've ever ridden. And I say that owning an F6C Valkyrie as one of my other bikes as well. I don't know why Yamaha didn't deem us worthy of owning these in the United States, but I'm glad I was able to find one. This one came out of Wheels in Motion in Los Angeles, California, and I want to thank them for actually putting this up for sale. So other than, of course, the carbon fiber and the original factory Akrapovics on here, it has MotoMaster brake kits, as well as braided brake lines, has ASV billet aluminum controls, as well as Rizoma brake reservoirs, as well as foot controls, and some carbon fiber frame sliders here. Let's fire this thing up. Once it's running, this thing shakes like a Harley, and I love it. But the engine really doesn't move itself, it's more just the entire bike. Let's talk specs on this thing. So this thing originally weighed about 580 pounds, but I imagine that would have been for either just the standard or the stage 1s. This thing being a stage 2, I imagine it weighs slightly less, and with the acres of carbon fiber on this thing, I imagine realistically this thing probably weighs about 540 or so pounds, maybe dry, I don't know, maybe wet, probably about 550, 560, but it's significantly lighter than the standard bike. As well, this thing only revs out to only about 5,500 RPM. So this thing doesn't get to, this thing is not a screamer, but it gets to that low RPM exceptionally quickly. Like, this thing would absolutely smoke my Honda Valkyrie, and that thing is a decently fast bike for what it is. Top speed, I haven't wanted to actually test this out legally, but internet again tells me it's about 130 to 140. I would be most likely inclined to believe that. It does have a speed healer on here because it does not have the original sprocket, and if you notice, the chain's kind of in a weird spot. It's on the right-hand side, not the left-hand side. Because this is actually my first chain-driven bike. My first was belt-driven, and the rest have all been shafty boys. Zero to 60, stock, these again were about 3.7 seconds. But if we're talking about this thing making absolutely insanely more amounts of power than the original one, I'd be, again, willing to probably say about 3.2 to 3.3 seconds. I could be wrong. Hopefully one of you guys can correct me on that. But this is probably one of the most unique bikes you can get in the States. Or you can really not even get in the States to begin with because they never sold them here.